May I call upon Mr. Anshumali Ruparel from the Indian Express. Mr. Anshumali Ruparel is one of the most respected journalists in the real estate. Could I please have on stage Mr. Anshumali Ruparel? Sir, could I please invite on stage our first panelist for our second discussion, Mr. Ramesh Nair, COO, Business, JLL India. Mr. Nair has nearly 17 years of professional expertise and has helped clients define and deliver successful real estate projects of the highest quality. Our second panelist, a round of applause for Mr. Ramesh Nair. Excuse me, gentlemen, could I please request you to have your seats? Excuse me, gentlemen in the front. May we please settle down for our second session? Moving on, our second panelist for our session is Mr. Pranay Vakil, Founder Chairman, Preron Consultancies Private Limited. Mr. Vakil has been involved in the property business for over 25 years. Mr. Vakil was previously a founder chairman of Knight Frank in India. He has earlier worked as the executive director of Fortune 500 company, Raychem, and various Tata Group companies as well. And our final panelist is Dr. P.R. Swaroop, Director General, CIDC. A round of applause for Mr. Swaroop. He serves on various high-powered committees constituted by Government of India, including Steering Committee on Construction. For the 10th, 11th and 12th 5-year plans constituted by Planning Commission. And now finally may we have back on stage Mr. Rajesh Vardhan, MD of Vardhan Group, to join in the panel discussion. Please welcome Mr. Vardhan on stage. Once we've all settled down, I shall maybe invite everyone back in the hall to all settle down for our second discussion. Okay, now may I please request Mr. Anshumali Ruparel to take over and begin the discussion. Thank you.
Interesting it is going to be that you people will be between the two things, the food outside and the food inside. We are going to present a mental food to you, and the real food can wait, I suppose, and people who are very hungry for knowledge are here. I would like to make this session very light, very informal, very quick, and let me tell you, I have a very fantastic, strong, knowledgeable panel with me. So let me begin this way. I'm reading the quote. Real estate contributed to Indian GDP at 6.3% in 2013 and expected to go up to 13% by 2025. Market size will increase at the CAGR of 11.2% from 2008 to 2020. So as to match that, 3.6 billion square feet space is already in pipeline and needs 255,000 crores of generate about 370,000 crores. By 2025, the space developed would be 8.2 billion square feet and would need more than 800,000 square feet because urban population grew at CAGR of 2.8 during 2001 to 2011, adding net 91 billion. Do you understand anything? Did you understand anything? No, neither did I. This is what we write, this is what people speak, this is what they try to impress you with, numbers, statistics, digits. This is not the reality of the real estate. The real state of real estate is here. This is the panel which is going to tell you, not this nonsense things, because this could be deceptive, this could be an eyewash, this could be a misguiding things. Every time people write the way they want them to write. It's like a half glass empty, half glass filled, the way you look at it. So, I will not get into this kind of nonsense. I would request, avoid numbers, avoid statistics. Let's talk about the real facts, the problems, what we want to convey to the center. Now I start with this. Real estate and urban development is the subject which one cannot ignore because three facts. It connects to around 250 ancillary industries. It gives around 75 lakh people the job. And it contributes to around 6.5% into the GDP. This is enough to understand the importance of real estate. So now I have the panel. हर समस्या को हल करने के दो तरीके होते हैं, भाग लो या भाग लो. So ये जो भाग लेने आए हैं, ये एक तरह का PPP मॉडल है. पैनल, people, and I'm in between, a project coordinator. These are the veterans from their respective fields. And let me start the proposition of the subject. Till 16th May, the real estate sector was in a hopeless condition. Till then, phrases were used as lack of will by the government, neglection syndrome, policy paralysis, etc. And then came the results of the general elections. और किसी ने अच्छा कहा, किटली ने इटली को हरा दिया, चाय की किटली. That hope of real estate was modified. And a stable government at the center can take a very hard decisions. So present government already looks having a growth focus, industry friendly image. So it's obvious to expect a lot of things from that. Optimism is induced. आशाओं का इंजेक्शन लग चुका है. अब होता क्या है, होना क्या चाहिए, कहां तक बन पाता है, ये हमें देखना है. So there are some bottlenecks which needs to be cleared. So I will start with Pranay ji. What is the real state of real estate today?
Well, I have a counter question for you.
Sir.
You want to hear good things, bad things, or the real things?
There are three types of truth. My truth, your truth, and the real truth.
That's a good way of answering that. Well, the real state of real estate cannot be summarized in one word. Why? Because the real estate is different for land, it's different for office space, it's different for housing. Again, in housing, it's very different for luxury housing, very different for affordable housing. So therefore, to take a brush and paint the whole thing in one color is not possible, sir. However,
Now, 98% of these space being utilized is residential.
Right.
So let's focus on that first, because it touches Aam Aadmi.
Absolutely. And you talked about Narendra Modi, and you talked about the manifesto. Right? What did it say? It says it's going to create 100 cities.
And housing for all
And housing for all
in 2008.
with the focus on affordable housing.
Right.
That's the need of the hour. That's really the need of the hour. And if we seated here focus only on one subject today, on how to deliver that affordable, low-cost housing, to reach those 25 million units that we want to deliver. How do we do that? I think we will have possibly achieved the objective which is set up. Start with. Okay. In my own way, how will I handle this problem? One is land. Land is very expensive. How do you make it less expensive? Can you tinker with FSI? You increase the FSI notionally, of course. You can build more. So can you do it for affordable housing? Can you do it for low-cost housing? Is the first question. Second, can you use technology to reduce cost? Can you import certain technologies by which repetitive designs can be recreated over and over again at a very inexpensive and a very fast way? Can we cut down this red tapeism which is involved in approvals by what I would like to call reverse tendering? And I can explain that at an appropriate time if you like. But idea is, and you must have seen Deepak Parekh's statement today, that 20% of the cost or the price that you're paying for your flat is represented by only one thing, and that's delays, approvals. So, if you have a system for this low-cost housing, which is kind of pre-approved, again, something can be done. The fourth thing is interesting. Can we make available money to the developer at a concessional rate? So this is a country, and let me tell you something. If you buy a BMW 7 Series to be used as a taxi in a 5-star hotel, it's completely free of excise duty. But if you were to buy bricks, steel, cement for affordable housing, you pay full excise duty. Why? Interesting. Why is what I'm asking. So, if you are able to provide those concessions by way of interest rate, I think again you will deliver the dream house to millions of people who are today staying in slums.
Thank you, sir. I would jump to Mr. Nair because he has been having an experience hands-on on all kinds of segments. So how do you think, let us pull on with the same subject about low. I have my doubts about this word, affordability. I don't understand because it's a relative term. If I can afford 80 lakhs a flat and one can afford a 4 crore flat, then what is an affordability? I think the real word should be low cost. And again that will run into a relative problem that what do you mean by low cost? So let's talk about the same thing. I mean, keeping that connotation in mind, that how do you feel that it could be delivered?
Just touching upon what Pranay Bhai just mentioned on the real state of real estate. I'll just take 30 seconds to summarize what's happening in all sectors. Office sector demand down in the last 2 years. Retail sector demand down in the last 2 years. Residential demand down in the last 2 years. Just, I know you don't like numbers, but I'll still take 10 seconds to talk about numbers. Office demand up from 37 to 27 million. Retail demand down from 10 million to 5 million. Residential, in the top 7 cities, we used to sell around 60,000 units 2 years back. Today we are selling only 45,000 units. So all three classes, what we have seen is 12 and 13 were really, really bad years. 11 was a good year, but 12 and 13 were really bad years. Coming back to your question on affordability, Deepak Parekh, I think, had made the statement a few years back that India needs fine print of where this 25 million units is. Out of this 25 million units, only 500,000 units was for middle class and above. Rest was 24.5 million of those units was for LIG and EWS. Developers all sold that story. We sold that story to funds. We sold that story to P's outside. But to ourselves, we sold that story to the media. But the real story was we needed 24.5 million units of real low-cost housing. And definition of that low-cost housing was a house which can be bought at 5 lakh rupees. For a house to be bought at 5 lakh rupees, you need to, even if it's 300 square feet, selling at 1,500 rupees, you need land. FSI cost of land can't be more than 300 rupees. And that's exactly what Pranay Bhai said. Till the government provides that land and removes various things, we'll come to that during the discussion. And 3-4 things which the government can do on the affordable housing front. First, as Pranay Bhai said, in terms of delays, that itself is a big saving. Second is all these costs involved, stamp duty, sales tax, VAT, services tax, that's another 20%. If that can be taken off, that'll be a big relief. Third is bringing in more funds. Government needs to relax both foreign direct investment as well as external commercial borrowing towards affordable housing in this country. Without that, it's a non-starter.
I would like to interrupt here and try to get Rajesh into the foray. Everybody's talking about the affordable housing, low-cost housing, 5 lakh rupees, everything. Rajesh, I'm not talking to you as Rajesh, I'm talking to you as a developer. Would you be interested in making this kind of flats and buildings? No one is interested. Everybody is interested about 5 crores and plus. Margins are high. No developer is interested in running around with this 5 lakh guy. And there are hundreds of them in one building. Instead of that, let's have 10 of them of 5 crores each. So how do you look at the situation? Will you be able to, as a developer, you represent the fraternity?
Yeah, perfect, right. Basically, I had started construction for low-cost housing also, where we have done around 2,000 units in Sholapur, Sangli, Nanded for the government and slum dwellers.
But nobody wants to go and stay there.
But no, people are staying, but that is a pure contractual work. It is not a developer's work, and the margins are nothing. So we stop this thing. Ultimately, with our investment, we want a result.
True.
So as a pure prudent businessman, always a reasonable margin, we are always asking. But what is the image now that developers are minting money and the prices have gone high? That is not the fact. We have been in the industry for last 50 years. We want a growth, a slow growth in prices because all the things escalate. But the way land, which is the main source, the prices of the land have gone up. So ultimately any affordability is directly linked to the land. The rest, whether cost of construction, the delay cost, interest cost, or the service tax and all other costs are again a percentage, say around 60% or 40%. Rest is the 60% is the land cost. Till any government, whether state government or the central government, does not create the infrastructure for FSI, the world over, when we talk about like Singapore or any place, the FSI is 8 to 9, 10, 15. The reverse working has to be there with 15 FSI. They plan for infrastructure, they think for 100 years. The problem is we don't think for 5 years. The way Mumbai is running is on the last 100 years, infrastructure created by the Britishers still. So the new cities we want to create with the new infrastructure, we have to think 200 years ago forward. Then only we can create an affordable segment, a reasonable segment where people can purchase. One more point is there, world over, housing is a problem and around 35% housing comes by rental housing. So if we want to create the word affordable housing, it can be by way of rental housing also, but the policies are not in course.
But sir, I would like to deviate from here in the sense, India has a psyche of owing the house. World over, the people are not interested in owing the house. They just want to have a house to live in. Here, apna ek sapno ka ghar ho kind of thing is always there, which makes people run for the whole life to make one house.
Agreed.
That is the reason rental housing will work only in a transitional way, that people come from one city to another to work, go back, they need a rental housing. But eventually people who came to Pune, came to Bangalore, landed up buying a house at the end of the day because of that cycle. Correct? So we will come to those, that is, I look at it as a solution to the problems, but we'll come to that later on. I don't want you people to keep on speaking because I want them to interact and gulp what is going on. One. Two, I would go to Dr. Swarup. He has been on many government committees, especially lending norms for construction industry, as well as he is a guy from IIT. He's an IITian and civil engineer. So, Pranayji touched a couple of issues about technology and affordability and low-cost housing. So, how do you look at that situation from the government's point of view and from your expertise point of view?
Thank you so much. I just want to make it sweet and short. Grant me your wish.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, I was a bit surprised when I was put in the real estate and housing sector because I have to do more with the construction of infrastructure. Of course, these two are almost linked with each other and have a lot of bearing on each other. Now, I guess I should be first thanking Jito for organizing this particular event. And this is important because now the government is in position. They need some kind of a blueprint and some expressions of industry that need to go. So to that extent, I think this is a commendable job. Let me, pick on the kind of theme that we have to begin with. I guess the participants here, they expect us to be some kind of soothsayers and people who are looking in the future and give a version as to how exactly we'll be faring and looking at ourselves in 2019. That's the point of it. Now, the shape of things to come. I just prepared some small note, and that's how I said I'll make it short and sweet. This will cover many things. What is our task? Somebody comes to governments and says that, well, I'm going to build 100 cities. Now, of course, the time limit has not been given. It could be 5 years, it could be 50, it could be 500 years. But then, I think the claim that was, and I think that is precisely the claim to fame, is that 100 cities would certainly begin to be built. That's the point. Can we do that? Are we not putting in some kind of an impossible target? 60 years have gone by. There are hardly 4 or 5 new cities that have actually been developed. And I can name them straight away. Chandigarh happens to be one of them. It is post-independence. Then now, of course, even the suburbs are taking the credit of becoming other cities like Gurgaon, Noida and other places. But these were already existing settlements. That's the point. So it's a humongous task. Near airport development area, that is another city. Many state capitals are trying to emerge as new cities for that matter. But let's look at the quantum. And I'm not giving a number. It's almost 6 times the task that we have been doing during last 12 years. And even if I discount the last 3 years, which have been rather bad for the industry at large, and take the good times that were there, the shining days, the happy days, even then, it is almost 6 to 7 times the task that we are actually capable of doing in a year's time. That's the kind of scenario. This relates both to the monetary as well as input resources. Let's not only look at the land. Land, of course, is a very important factor. And what Mr. Vardhan says, that if we look at the total costing per square foot, possibly construction has maybe 10 to 12% as the incidence, and balance goes on account of rest of the things. And even out of that, the land is actually the major impediment. It's absolutely right. So basically, we have to look at both in terms of monetary as well as input resources strength. Who's going to get all that money? And are there any instruments available? And then let us look at the kind of impediments that are there and what all we are doing. That's a kind of a scorecard that I would like to present before all constructing these assets for you. That's a very major issue.
So we need.
What about, let me complete, sir, let me complete. What about the naturally produced construction materials? Sand, aggregate, brick, of course, we can say that it is a man-made kind of a thing because we make concrete blocks. Construction equipment, where is that? Regulatory framework, everybody had been talking about the weakness and the sloppiness in there. And then again comes a very important factor, that is the weak corporate structure of operators. What exactly is the kind of corporate commitment that people have who are actually executing it? Risk assessment and alleviation. Are we really aware of the risk? The locality in which I live in Delhi, or to be precise, in Haryana, I live in Faridabad, there are something like 12 malls that have been constructed and not even one of them is actually running in the right shape. So much of investment has gone down the drain. And then of course someone was talking about in terms of highways and others, dispute resolution situations that we have. Humongous sums of money are basically held up. Now these are all the things that the government will have to look into. And as a writer of the chapter on construction of the 12th plan and 11th plan before that and 10th plan even before that, we had been pointing this out to the government. In small measures, things are basically being done. Now, what are the remedies? The remedies are internships, trainings for the student. When it comes to the human resource development, you have to create trade specialists because the kind of manpower that we have been using conventionally, mason, carpenter, they will no more be available to you, take it from me. Prefabrication and recycling of construction materials because the natural material is just not available. So we'll have to go for prefabrication, pre-engineering, expand manufacturing bases, and then of course interact with other nations who are actually building prefabricated structures. We have Singapore, we have China, we have Hong Kong, and even in United States also. Much of it is factories.
Sorry to interrupt, but can we come to the remedies at the end of the story?
Oh,
Because that will be a very logical process.
Yeah, I think I was just getting a bit greedy. I thought I would like to close this whole argument, after that.
No, I'm like a very fair mother. I will give one notice.
No, go ahead. Mother agreement. Mother agreement. No, go ahead.
All right. So, coming to the back to the questions. The one question which everybody asks a developer: why your project is delayed? And he comes up with all these reasonings to justify. It's a question to justify or to really explain or express his problems. Pranayji, how would you say it?
Okay. Can I spend just 1 minute on the land issue? Just 1 minute.
Sure.
Of course, I will then.
Yeah, please, I want to interact. I don't want continuous thing because it should.
I want to just put one thing before this august audience. Why is land expensive? Most people are going to tell you land is expensive because it's in short supply. Take the city of Mumbai, it's surrounded by sea, there's no land, etc. To me, land is expensive because it is the way the land is made available to developers like him. He goes to Noida, stands in an auction and picks up land at the highest possible price. He comes out laughing. People are crying. Why? The way we handle land in government, my apologies to you, sir, is not correct. And let me tell you why. How should the land be auctioned? Let's assume that for a particular plot of land, the real need of the government is 100 crores. They end up getting 500 crores, that's a different thing. To my mind, the way this land should be auctioned is that government fixes 100 crore as a base price and everything on the top of it is described as number of affordable units that will be delivered back to the society. So the auction will run somewhat like this. 100 crores, 200 flats. 100 crores, 300 flats. And then Rajesh will go there and say, I will give 500 flats and 100 crores, please give me the land. Now, if you take this forward, the government is going to get back the 500 flats, which they can pre-sell because everybody trusts the government with the money. And therefore, the house prices will come down. It is pre-approved, it is pre-sold,
And trusted.
and with the government.
Trusted.
Okay? Now, that is one way to bring down the land prices. And now to your question about...
But again, I would like to interrupt here also. This is what you're talking about, the land in the auction. What about the land? See, गुड़ की डली के आसपास ही कीड़े मकोड़े बनते हैं, फूल के आसपास ही भौरे घूमेंगे। ये जो डेवलपर्स हैं ना, जहाँ पैसा मिलेगा, जहाँ मार्जिन होगा, जहाँ प्रॉफिट होगा, जहाँ सबसे ज्यादा होगा, एक लाइफ टाइम में मैं कितने जीरो बना सकता हूँ, वो वहीं पे आके खड़े रह जाएंगे। So there is one land and 10 developers with lots of money. I don't know where they get it from, but they somehow managed to get it at some 300.
Sir, developers don't buy land.
Pardon?
Developers don't buy land. They enter into a joint venture
Exactly.
with the landowner.
Yes. So if the land is not available directly, then JV. ऐसे नहीं है तो JV.
So this is a wrong perception.
No. I'm just saying the possibilities.
Developers are very, they're going for money only. This is not.
Sir, it's a proven fact. Developers कोई trust नहीं चलाते हैं.
That's what we have to change now.
But how will you change it? You have to change.
Yeah, with such forum we have to change that.
No, forum cannot change. You have to change yourself. You have to change the perception. अगर लोग मुझे कहते हैं कि ये गुंडा है, तो I have to prove that मैं गुंडा नहीं है.
That's what the developers.
तो it will start with myself. It cannot start with others. ये जरूरी नहीं कि आप क्या अपने बारे में सोचते हो. ये जरूरी है कि दूसरे आपके बारे में क्या सोचते हैं. सोच वहाँ से शुरू होती है और अपने को बदलना होगा. So the point is, developers. I will take the liberty to speak this. 20 years back, honestly, I'm telling you. Please, no offense, man. I'm a media guy. 20 years back, I was told never to write any builder का story. मैं नया रिपोर्टर था. मतलब क्यों? साले गुंडे होते हैं सब. 20 years. 2 years back. See what you people have done. You have achieved it. 2 years back, I was told, यार तुम लोग रियल एस्टेट में बिल्डर के बारे में कुछ लिखते नहीं थे. तो मैंने उनको वही चीज याद दिलाई कि आप लोग 20 साल पहले ये बताया था कि बुढ़े सारे बदमाश होते हैं, चोर स्मगलर उचक्के होते हैं. अरे things have changed. They have changed. People have come in with good money, right money. Corporates are coming, FDI is coming, everything is becoming development, blah blah blah. Change हुआ ना. अब उसको और आगे बढ़ाना. ब्लैक से ग्रे हो गए, ग्रे से व्हाइट हो जाएंगे, क्या प्रॉब्लम? बट इट्स अ प्रोसेस, ओवरनाइट नहीं होना है. एक फॉर्म नहीं कर सकती ये सब चीजें. दिस पीपल आर देयर. राजेश जी 20 साल, ये करीबन 30 साल. इज द फादर ऑफ नाइट फ्रैंक इन इंडिया. ही इज देयर फ्रॉम 96 इनटू पता नहीं, ही हैज बीन टू कॉलियर्स एंड CBRE एंड देन JLL फॉर द लॉन्गेस्ट टाइम आई सपोज. सारे चैंपियंस एंड वेटरन्स हैं. सॉरी टू से, लेकिन बाल सफेद होने में जिंदगी निकल जाती है, काले तो आधे घंटे में हो जाते हैं. तो ये सारे लोग हैं जो 25-30 साल से इंडस्ट्री को ग्रोथ होते हुए, चेंज होते हुए देख चुके हैं. ये खुल के बोलना चाहते हैं. अगर आप इजाजत दें तो ये बोले. ये जो बोल रहे हैं वो आईना दिखा रहे हैं, आपकी तस्वीर नहीं ले रहे. There is a difference between taking a photograph and showing a video. The forum is about that. Forum is about seeking the truth. Pranay ji, Ramesh ji, if I am not mistaken. And Rajesh ji would love to know that what is the perception in the minds of people. हम सारे दोस्त हैं developers के. These people deal day in and out with developers. इनका थोड़ा सा हटके है, but they are there in the field. So let's talk about why the delays are happening. Land की बात हम बाद में करेंगे. How they manage the land. I'm not saying manage the land. I mean manage the land. Let's talk about the delays, which I have posed this question to you, sir.
If you want the answer in one sentence, environmental ministry has been responsible for most of the delays of infrastructure project, large residential projects, mixed-use projects. One single. And there is one person in the department who's holding that.
I will give a more countrywide picture. Delays happening on a lighter note. the consumption of steel and cement had dropped. Obviously, because nobody was buying steel and cement, everyone was funding elections. So, on a lighter note, there's actually a study done on that. In terms of actual delays, what I've seen is, again, a countrywide picture. I'm looking at north, west, south. Even in the worst of times, in 2009, the first 2 quarters of 2009 was the worst phase of Indian real estate in the last 10 years. A developer who actually wanted to develop.
Just hold on, mic's gone down. Hello, sound.
Who wanted to give returns to his investors, wanted to deliver apartments to his buyers. The key word here is somebody who thought of a contract as a contract, still delivered. He did not blame the government, he did not blame demand, he did not blame supply. Those who wanted to deliver, still delivered. So the key word here is developers who are contract worthy will still deliver. Developers who are not contract worthy, it's okay, you need to give them some space because of government delays. Today in Delhi, for example, when somebody buys an apartment, a typical buyer is thinking of a 2 to 3 year delay. He puts that in his IRR calculation. Bombay, that's reached a 1 year kind of a number. South, if you look at it, it's around 6 months. People just automatically, home buyers like us, middle class, upper middle class, when we buy, that's become usual routine in our mind itself. So I think the key word here is contract worthiness of a developer. And if he's contract worthy, he still delivers. A little bit delay, okay. But if he's not contract worthy, he just doesn't care about the buyer.
Going on the other side, there are some genuine problems with builders also. And that I will tell Rajesh to blast out. He's very sandy about this developers. And I want it out, sir.
At least in Mumbai, and basically see all over India there are different problems due to geographical and other aspects. Environment, so that is all over India. But when we leave about environment, CRZK, ULC was a bigger struggle. Still there is a case pending in the Mumbai High Court. ULC has been abolished, but still, so policy paralysis is there. It is a red division, all the files doesn't move. When we talk about governance, a particular period has not been given. Instead of architect, developer has to move to the offices and try to move the files. Recently, when we've seen Mumbai's development, all high rises, and Mumbai being the main city, the main finance city of India, you can't construct above 70 meter, a Doppler is there. All of a sudden a Doppler has been constructed. So can't we have a vision? So that problem still now under discussion, but still from last so many years, it is under discussion. But when it will be implemented? My projects are there, my construction has started. If I don't get further approval, how I will be able to deliver? I have some projects, I have vacated the premises in suburb. All the tenants are vacated, members are vacated. There is a Supreme Court judgment that any sanction given, I have already given. Don't give CC till 6 meter open space is given on this side, 6 meter open space is given on this side. All of a sudden, a judgment practically has stopped development of Mumbai. In South Mumbai, though, I think so 80% of the project of all the developers have stuck up. And in suburb also, where small plots are there, are stuck up. So these are some of the instances I am mentioning because I am facing with each and every different problems. Environment problem, this problem, doctor problem, court cases, plus tenant not vacating, members not vacating. After vacating of the majority of the members vacate, 2 people try to obstacle the total project because they know developer has invested crores of rupees for 1 or 2 person. If I will not move out, I will get a handsome amount.
So you want to say that the regulations have to be relaxed for the permissions approval system has to be put in the place?
All the system, wherever problems are there, it can be seen and solutions can be brought in. Like Vardhan, there is a 70% cap is there, but there is a tenancy in suburb, there is no cap. So a single tenant can keep your project 10 years down the line. A single tenant.
But what about the major delays? The reasons for major delays are, is it because of the
card, no one going to transfer 7 Satbara Uttara, any permission, TNOC, it will take a year's time. There are 50 NOCs. By the time I take one NOC, complete 10 NOCs, I get the 15th NOC, 1 year has elapsed. So again I have to go and renew the first NOC.
So you are trying to go for a single window system and
That is what we are demanding.
saying it again and again.
That is what we are demanding from so many years. There was a proposal, Subodh Kumar ji came, we are still lining all the things and we will give you one window clearance. But there is no one window clearance.
Okay, so moving on to the next point is this that
Generate money. Government wants to generate money from the builders.
everybody wants to generate money.
It's not the job of the government. It is not the job of the government. It is elected government. There cannot be corruption in the government.
True. I was told that there, yes sir, I was told that there are about 50 to 60 permissions that one needs to take and that takes a lot of time. But I want to know one thing. I went to the restaurant and there was a line outside and I said how much time for me to walk in and eat. And he says, Saab, 1 ghanta lagega. He knows how much time he is going to take. How come developers do not know their time frame? Whose issue? I know, वो भेल वाला है ना. He also knows, साहब 5 मिनट बनाता हूँ. Sandwich वाला says 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. The developer knows his game. He knows इसको 2 साल लगेंगे. I was speaking with Niranjan ji, though he's not here today, and I was speaking to Lalit Kumar Jai, Redai. It's all your big guys in your fraternity. They said that we know this is going to take 2 years, this is going to take 3 years. But अगर वो सच लिखेंगे in the contract, you have a genuine problem. I know. Then nobody will buy. If I say it's 4 years or 5 years, it's a genuine problem. It's a psyche issue that okay, Rajesh is going to give me flat after 5 years. Sorry, I will go to you. You are giving me in 3 years. But that's in writing only on the agreement levels, right? You know it in your heart. It's going to take 4 or 5 years because you know that the permissions are going to take 2 to 3 years.
Uncertainties cannot be predicted.
No, this frame. See, Rajesh ji has built up 34 projects by now. Correct? So he knows how much it takes.
So we predict from the experience.
I'm talking from the experience. Yes, very correct.
You cannot expect it. It may be laws which are being framed.
Sir, the problem is this. As Mr. Nayak said that the buyer says agreement में 3 साल लिखा है, मतलब 3.5-4 का वही जाएगा. He also knows it. They're going to write it. Agree. I have seen the projects. I know that one of the panelists is not here today, and the project has taken 10 years plus. So,
No, I think so. Yes. No, no.
yes. अब अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. Sir,
Let me say something in favor of the developers. I'm going to say something in your
we
favor.
are trying to find out what is the problem.
Exactly, I'm giving you an example. MMRDA, which was previously BMRDA, decided to auction the plots in BKC. All of us know that. And BKC is supposed to be 7 times the size of Nariman Point, the way it was visualized. They started auctioning the plots, people came forward, bid for it, got it, right? Before the ink dries on your agreement, the government says, you can't develop this land. It is within 250 meters, 200 meters of Pithi River. Supposed to be a river, none of us know it is a river. The Kachara ka Dappa, literally. Now, what does that developer do? He has paid the last rupee, that was the precondition for getting that land. Before he has even got possession, he is told, don't touch that land. Why? Because it is within 200 meters. Now, some of the influential people got relocation. Some of them got stuck for years. Who would you blame for this?
Government, of course. Thank you. So the point is, अगर हम छाछ को घुमाएंगे नहीं तो मक्खन नहीं निकलना है सर. So delay? Delay could be, mainly it is attributed, it seems, to the government policies, changing government policies, or uncertainty of the government policy or implementation. That's one part, which we need to tell the government to channelize it or get it right. Secondly, my question is this. Real estate is a state issue. It's not a central issue. I remember one, just to make it lighter, I remember one family, I was asking the husband, "ये तुम लोगों की जिंदगी इतनी अच्छे से कैसे गुजर रही है?" And he says that सारे बड़े-बड़े डिसीजन मैं लेता हूँ, सारे छोटे-छोटे डिसीजन मेरी वाइफ लेती है. तो मैंने कहा कौन से छोटे-छोटे डिसीजन? बोलते हैं बच्चा कहाँ स्कूल में पढ़ेगा, किससे शादी करेगा, कहाँ पे घर लेंगे, ये सब छोटे-छोटे डिसीजन वो लेते हैं. और आज क्या खाना बनाऊंगा, क्या कपड़े पहनूं, ये सब बड़े-बड़े डिसीजन मैं लेता हूँ. स्टेट और सेंटर का कुछ ऐसा ही चल रहा है सालों से. और देरानी जेठानी जैसा हिसाब चल रहा है. I do not know how these issues will be actually be beneficial in terms of मोदी जी से कहे भी तो कहाँ तक they will be able to yes.
There are various aspects. Environment Ministry जो सबसे बड़ा हर्डल है वो मोदी जी के पास में. If the 20,000 square meter is a cap, if it basically it increased to 50,000, so that normal projects can be cleared directly. One thing, but instead of going into the solution at this moment,
No, you can go ahead.
so this is the one thing. Second aspect, service tax. When we are talking about creating affordable housing, there is a service tax under the under construction units. But if it is a ready flat, there is no service tax. So if I am purchasing a flat, affordable housing, same 10 lakhs only, but it is ready. So I don't have to pay additional 10-12%. But if I am purchasing the same flat of 10 lakh rupees and paying 50,000 because I am a very small person, no, then you pay additional 10% more also. So is this a logic when we are talking about creating an affordable housing?
So we are coming back to again government policies on tax, government policies.